Matt Money Smith here from Believe in Chargers, and I am reaching out to you, the small business owners, to talk to you about my friends at Gusto, because they can help you out. You want to have your hands in everything. It's your business. It's got your name on it. I get it. But how about running that business a little bit tighter and cutting some of the stuff that maybe you don't want to use your valuable time on, and that is payroll, HR. Let Gusto help you get your time back because every hour counts. So what is Gusto? It's an online payroll and benefits software that's built for small businesses. It is all in one. It is remote friendly. It is incredibly easy to use, and you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. What does that give you? Saves time. You got built-in automated tools. You got offer letters, onboarding docs, direct deposits, so much more, not to mention direct access to certified HR experts. They are going to help support you through any tough HR situation. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/believe. That's GUSTO.com/believe, BLEAV. And you're going to get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. Again, that is 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/believe. Again, one more time, gusto.com/believe.
Let's talk about Peyronie's disease, or PD. It's not widely talked about, and some men may feel reluctant to bring it up, but it's more common than you'd think. PD can happen when scar tissue builds up under the skin of the penis, causing a curve with a bump during an erection. That, for some men, may lead to pain during intimacy and impact mental health. A trusted urology specialist can help diagnose PD and walk you through your options, including non-surgical treatment. Visit talkaboutpd.com.
When I found out I was going to be a parent, I immediately felt a lot of anxiety and worry. So I went on to BetterHelp to try to look for a therapist to help me with that.
My relationship with my family and with my boyfriend and with myself were suffering. I really needed help.
I was ruminating a lot. Really getting those thoughts out to a therapist and getting feedback was just life-changing.
Discover what BetterHelp Online Therapy can do for you. Visit BetterHelp.com today.
This is the Rise Up See Red podcast, all about the Arizona Cardinals and the NFL, featuring insider and outsider perspectives. Enjoy the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Now here are your hosts, Jess Root and Seth Cox.
Hello, Arizona Cardinals fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast, the best of Cardinals talk of the web. I'm your host, Jess Root from CardsWire.com, USA Today's NFL Wire site, covering, of course, your Arizona Cardinals. And joining me up at episode 791 is my co-host, Seth Cox from RevengeOfTheBirds.com, SB Nation's Arizona Cardinals site, as we are in the dead of the offseason. And I think we've got two shows this week. It might be coming to Seth's summer break here coming up, as I think we've got division rankings. And after that, I'll be tracking down Cardinals opponent writers to go through those preview shows as we head into next month and go into the training camp. And Seth, there's not a lot going on, but there is a little bit going on that impacts the Cardinals. The first of which is the Cardinals are they have to replace for a second year in a row a radio voice. Last year, Ron Wolfley stepped down as TV analyst, as their radio analyst, that is, and he was replaced by A.Q. Shipley. Now they're going to lose their play-by-play guy, Dave Pasch, who's been with the team for the last 24 years as their play-by-play voice. He's got a bigger role at ESPN, and that includes exclusivity. No more Dave Pasch on the radio, Seth. What has been your take on his career? And the main thing is, who do we want as the new Cardinals play-by-play voice?
I mean, he's genuinely one of the best in the business, and it's a huge loss for Cardinals fans. I mean, there's nothing else that really needs to be said about that, because you don't replace somebody that's that good just willy-nilly. Now, it doesn't mean they can't get somebody that isn't fantastic, or someone that may be as good, if not better, down the line. of Pasch, but just where Pasch is at in his career, how studied he is, how, the calls he has been on for the Arizona Cardinals are genuinely legendary for an organization that truthfully doesn't have a lot of legendary moments, right? Like that's
for sure.
That's what makes it so special, is like those Pasch radio calls. It's like the Greg Schulte call of the Luis Gonzalez winning the World Series. Like it's just something that is so exclusive and so unique that's forever ingrained in us as fans.
Yeah, he's 24 years. That spans, like, for the most part, a large chunk of Cardinals fans know no other voice for Cardinals broadcast. Now, in fairness, what we have to remember, that if you're a radio listener, you've heard only Dave Pasch. NFL games, because they're all with the general networks, Fox, CBS, and whatnot. So we never get, except for preseason games, we never get the team play-by-play guy on a television broadcast like you do in the NBA, like the Suns or the Diamondbacks for baseball, because the NFL, their broadcasts are all regional/national. And so the networks, Fox, CBS, Prime, ESPN/ABC, NBC, they use their broadcasting teams. And so what we're left for as fans is radio calls. And so that's the part that there's most people, like, I still remember now, I have a soft spot in my heart for Tom Dillon. I loved listening to him on the radio for the Cardinals back when I was a teenager. He had 2 stints up till 91, and then again from 95 to 2001, and Pasch replaced him. His was my favorite radio voice from my youth. Pasch is fantastic. Dillon was my absolute favorite. But now it's going to be interesting. Like, the 2 voices that have called all of the Cardinals' success this century now are gone. No more Pasch, no more Wolfley. And Shipley, I thought, did very well in his role last year, but now we have it'll be a completely new voice, and it's been a while since the Cardinals have had any memorable moments. And so it's going to be interesting to find out whether they go with someone homegrown, because you could go with homegrown, like you could bring up Paul Calvisi, who does play-by-play on the radio during the preseason when Pasch is running the TV broadcast. And Calvisi's been there forever as a sideline guy. You could go with Craig Graylu, could do it as well. Locally, you've got someone locally like Jeff Munn, who's kind of like the backup play-by-play for multiple teams like Arizona State, the Diamondbacks. You've heard him do it. You've heard him do it for the Suns. But don't you kind of feel that they might go with either they steal someone from somewhere else in the NFL, or it's going to be someone young we've never heard of?
Yeah, and we hate doing stuff like this because I know it irritates a segment of the fan base, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can pull anybody with any cachet being the Arizona Cardinals, right? Like, that's just a unfortunate reality of this is the program, and there are not a lot of positive notes on the program. And I don't know how many people remember all the way back in the day, but even like a local radio guy who I would say is probably a legend, but John Holmberg has talked about his brief stint as an employee of the Arizona Cardinals and how bad it was. So I think guys like Pasch, guys like Wolfley, those guys that have been in the system for a long time have worked through the quirks of working for the Arizona Cardinals or the Bidwill family, if you will. And now you see the other side of it, because one thing we do know is that there is a lot of turnover within the new employees that show up with the Cardinals. Again, it's not saying what side's right and wrong, just stating facts of, there is a turnover rate that occurs. So can that get rectified? That's the question now. And if it can, will it be somebody established? And what does that look like, Jess? Because, I mean, play-by-play guys, when the Diamondbacks hired Steve Berthiaume, that was looked at as a good thing. And I think now there is maybe it's just the online segment, but there's a segment of the fan base that does not enjoy Berthiaume calling the games, right? I don't know how you feel about him. I don't have any issues with him. I think he's a little over the top, but that's baseball guys for the most part.
Right. Like baseball guys, especially TV guys, are so over the top pro team, but they are also kind of team employees. So it makes sense.
So that's what would be interesting is, like, is there a guy out there on the national scene that would want to come to Arizona and do the same? And and that's part of it, man. I mean, there's a lot of times guys overall, and I know a lot of you're not supposed to say that, but the reality is it's mostly men that work in the field. That guys overall end up at a place like Pasch did with Arizona, or Greg Schulte did with the Diamondbacks, or obviously legendary Al McCoy did with the Suns, and they're there forever. And then it's typically, if they're there that long, it's retirement or in some cases death, because they do it for so long, right? Like that makes the change. So it's different to see a young-ish, Pasch is in his 50s, I believe, guy leave, but again, getting that exclusive work at ESPN as part of the ESPN crew, doing football and basketball that he does so well, is just like at some point it's something that you can't pass up as a guy like Pasch, who we've been blessed to have somebody, and to be fair, we've been blessed in Arizona for a long time to have great play-by-play guys. I mentioned some of them already. I remember when the Diamondbacks started, Tom Brenneman was obviously one of the best. And when he left, that was always the big thing, is like, I don't know how you felt, but I didn't feel like they've ever done a great job at replacing Brenneman, because he was just so good. And so that's kind of what you wonder about Pasch, is that, like, can you really find somebody that is as good as him?
Yeah, it's gonna it'll be interesting to see, because that's why my guess, because the Pasch is 53 years old, so he was in his late 20s. He was 29 when he took the job, when he got the job with the Cardinals and kind of grew into it, and then he added other roles. So I'm guessing that we're probably going to, because I imagine that as an organization, they would prefer to have someone that can have longevity, I would guess. And so someone that isn't widely known yet.
And you do wonder, like, where do they go for that? Is it going to be to the college ranks? Would it be another professional team? So they do have some overall, cachet behind them. It'll be interesting to see because, you mentioned some really talented guys coming in, but I mean the overall thought, and this is what is so interesting. Pasch and Shipley were considered the second best local team in football. The only team that was considered better is the Green Bay Packers. And I'm not familiar with Wayne Larrivee and Larry McCarron, but you look at the teams at the top. Packers, again, Cardinals are at 2, Jets at 3, Eagles at 4, Lions at 5, Tampa Bay at 6, Cowboys at 7, Falcons at 8, Bears at 9, and Vikings at 10. None of those guys are going to leave where they're at, right? They're all going to stay locked in. And then the guys or the teams kind of at the bottom, whether it's the Panthers or the Jaguars, teams at the bottom that maybe you could look at and be like, okay, this is a bigger market and a chance to step up. Do the Cardinals carry enough, to make that move? It's going to be really interesting to see how this goes and how quickly it goes too, wouldn't you say? Because
yeah, because that's the interesting one, is because with Wolf, we had months. We're going to have to. There's going to have to be a pretty quick one, because preseason is going to come up in about 6 weeks, and unless they're going to go with kind of a trial by fire or kind of fill in interim basis while they're looking for them, it'll be interesting, because I'm looking through the list of the NFL guys, and would you be able to get one of their play-by-play? Because again, getting a play-by-play guy is way different than getting an analyst, because analysts are always going to be your team analyst. The radio analyst is always going to be a former player from your organization to fill that role that has some media experience. They're not going to, you're not going to have a former Seahawk who never played for the Cardinals as your analyst. Play-by-play is a professional radio guy, non-athlete.
Well, and what ends up happening so often is those guys become, as corny as it sounds, they are the voice of that team.
Yes.
And that was Pasch, right? When you heard Dave Pasch, you go, is there a college game on? Right? And you're like, oh no, it's the Cardinals, right? That's how good the voice carried it. And I go back to, obviously Al McCoy is the same way with the Suns, Chick Hearn with the Lakers, those guys. And now, obviously Pasch did not stay for the longevity of his career, understandably, by the way. But it is interesting that he is so well respected and so known. And like you said, they got him so young that you kind of do just have to take that same shot, right? Take a chance on a late 20s, early 30s guy and see if it sticks. But also with how fickle the fan base is, it could be even tougher shoes to fill than they expect.
In a previous lifetime, because I did start this would have been for 22-year-old me, 20-year-old me would have seen this vacancy as, oh, this is my chance, because I did want to get into radio broadcasting in a previous life and kind of filled that with podcasting. So oh yeah, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it'll be fun, and I think it'll be growing pains. Like, I think Cardinals fans are going to have a really hard time the first couple of years. There's going to be a lot of I like them and a lot of I don't like it, because it's simply different. It's simply different. You're not used to it. Listeners, we don't like change. We don't like change, except when it comes to the players on the field and coaches, but no one likes to hear a different radio voice. But coming up next on the Rise of Seared podcast, the best of Cardinals talk with the web, we have one other topic that we want to hit in this show, and that is, we thought the Brendan Sorsby saga was going to continue, but it's kind of not. We're talking Brendan Sorsby and the Cardinals coming up next on Rise Up Seared.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Mississippi is breaking new ground for business at a historic pace. Amazon, XAI, Toyota, Milwaukee Tool, and GE Aerospace have all tapped into our deep talent pool, prime geographic location, and welcoming communities. This is bigger than megasites. Mississippi offers a thriving business ecosystem with affordability, greater collaboration with energy partners, and record-breaking speed to market. Looking to expand? Break new ground at Mississippi.org.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4th of July sale and get 30% off paints and stains June 26th through July 6th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
We're back on the Rest of Seared podcast, the best of Cardinals talk on the web. It appears that the Brendan Sorsby story is done. The NFL denied Sorsby's application for the supplementary draft, saying they are choosing not to have a supplemental draft. And in many ways, they were hesitant to bring him in with the history that he had. They felt that he was kind of running from consequences, that he didn't, demonstrate or show how he was going to avoid it. That sort of thing when it came to the gambling on sports, gambling on college stuff. And in a way, honestly, Seth, don't you think that Sorsby's approach was attempting to skirt any actual punishment for what he did with the gambling?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because the debate becomes how this affects his coming into the NFL. And what I mean by that is you're essentially suspending him from playing in the NFL for a full year because he is not eligible to be picked in any way, shape, or form. He cannot be on an NFL roster in any shape or form for 2026. But he can't be on a college roster in any shape.
Well, NCAA. He could do NAIA. He could go JUCO. And imagine him playing at a junior college.
Right.
And the numbers he would put up. Oh, my gosh.
But, he cannot play D1 against, And so you're effectively rendering him suspended for a year. And then would they then suspend him for a year for gambling as well?
Here's my take on that. I think the reason why they didn't let him in is because, we kind of talked about the notion of like, oh, well, he gets drafted and he gets suspended. I don't think they had any grounds to suspend him because he wasn't an NFL player. So you couldn't suspend him under the player conduct policy because he wasn't an NFL player. And so I think this was the only real answer that the league had. I didn't think about this until after the fact was, what he did deserved consequences in this case. Now, Grant went get treatment. Like, you can't bet on college sports and remain in college sports. And he was trying to say, well, this will hurt me. Yes, that's part of it. So he was banned forever from the NCAA. And if he were to be accepted in the supplemental draft and get drafted, sure, you could say, well, the league could suspend it, but could they? Could they suspend him for his conduct in college? I don't think that would fly under the CBA because the player conduct policy wouldn't apply to him because he was a college student. I can't think of a time. I don't think there is any precedent to suspending an NFL rookie for things that he did in college. All that ever does, the things they do in college impact where they're drafted or if they're drafted. And I guess this was the real recourse. And so if I'm assuming then that the NFL next year will have no grounds to suspend him. Now, obviously, him not playing college football this year makes him basically undraftable unless he goes and sets records at a JUCO. You'd have to look at last year's tape and then have to vet him the same way as you would have had to vet him now. But unless Canadian, the CFL, but that's a different game. It kind of leaves him in a tough situation for Sorsby, and that stinks. But at the same time, it's exactly the thing that if you have a gambling problem, you need to feel the weight of the consequences for you having a gambling problem. So, but at least what does this do? What does this do for the Cardinals now? That means, well, we're stuck with Jacoby Brissett, because if they'd have been able to get Sorsby, we could have ended all of the Jacoby Brissett nonsense and say we're going to go with Gardner, we're going to go with Beck, we're going to go with Sorsby, and Beck and Sorsby are going to play at some point during the year, and we can say, sorry, Jacoby, trade him for a 7th round pick or for a pick swap, or just cut him outright. But now we still have to talk about whether Jacoby Brissett's going to be on this roster, if he's going to hold out in training camp, and whether he's going to do anything. Now, well, what do you think? Do you think Sorsby has even a shot at being drafted next year now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like you said, he's going to be off for an entire year. He's going to be out of the game. You can train, you can do all that, but there's nothing that makes up for live reps. It's why guys that miss time with injuries typically don't get drafted early. And I know some people say, well, Jamar Chase sat out a year. Well, that's a little bit different because, one, Jamar Chase is a freak of nature, but two, it's a lot different playing the quarterback position than playing wide receiver, right? Like, those are two different positions, two different skill sets, obviously, and two different amount of time that being away from the game has an effect on what you play like. So I think we're at a point now where Sorsby is basically untouchable with anything that is in terms of value, so draft picks, things of that nature. And he's a guy that's going to have to come in and earn a spot the long, hard road, which is disappointing for a guy that, probably was going to be a top 75 pick in this year's draft if he came out.
Yeah, it's going to hurt him financially, losing the money this year, losing the shot, and then gonna have to he's gonna have to make an NFL roster the very hard way. Whether he can sign with it, whether he will get drafted, whether he can sign with anyone, and then being one of those undrafted guys that has to battle all the way up. But hey. Does that mean that? Well, let's go ahead and wrap that up. So that'll wrap up this edition of the Rise Up Secret podcast of Star Cardinals Talk on the Web. We've got another show this week. We're going to talk about training camp. Training camp schedule is out. We'll talk about the schedule. We'll talk about takeaways. And what do we need to see the Cardinals do before then? Until then, that's Seth Cox. I'm Jess Root. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back again soon.
Thanks for listening to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast. Listen to previous episodes and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Audioboom, or many other podcast platforms so shows are delivered directly to your mobile device. Please give the show a 5-star rating and always support the sponsors who support the show. We'll be back soon for the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Rise up, Red Sea, be Red, See Red, and of course, Rise Up, See Red.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4th of July sale and get 30% off paints and stains June 26th through July 6th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.